And AOC kind of claimed it, but people said they misinterpreted her tweet. I don't know. I'll give it to her borderline. You don't need AOC on this one because everyone else has been saying that these laws constitute jailing women for murder.
If a Georgia resident plans to travel elsewhere to obtain an abortion, when she comes back, she could face 10 years imprisonment.
Meaning abortions
how one
could
said
be
10 and one said 30?
by life
exactly.
in prison.
Whom are you going to imprison? Every woman who's had a fertilized egg pass through her?
No, you just.
I don't know, Mr. the mechanical engineer guy.
That's awesome.
But specifically because they've thrown in Georgia and Alabama. But they both specifically criminalize the act of performing the abortion outside of the listed parameters.
Exactly.
They very clearly express banning it's the person who's performing the abortion, which brings us actually to their subsequent claim that the Georgia bill, they claim, has loose language that could maybe lead to the prosecution of women who take an abortion pill or who travel to other states or who even miscarry. This is one we've been hearing a lot, miscarriage under these laws.
How stupid is that?
Well, here's the thing, and I've been doing a lot of research since 4 a.m. There've only been 2 recorded incidents of women being charged with any kind of crime associated with their abortion. Okay, one was in 1911 and one was in 1922. Unless I'm wrong about this, throughout the entire history of Anglo-American Western law, only one woman was ever charged with the crime of self-abortion. That specific crime, 1599. You have to go back to the 1500s. No woman ever in the history of modern Western law, as far as I know, let me know if I'm wrong, has been charged with a crime for miscarrying.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. Do you know if again? 1599, one time. At one point, he was, you know what, maybe before Roe v. Wade, people weren't being locked in a slammer because they were taking a pill. That's not what was happening. By the way, hit the notification bell. Some Midwesterners love that hockey reference. Bookmark the page because notification bells don't mean a whole lot for
subscribers. Fetus in the first trimester doesn't have moral value.
Again, if you want to make the claim that a fetus doesn't have moral value in the first trimester, you'd have to explain when a human being develops moral value. Is it with a heartbeat? Because there are plenty of people who are living off a pacemaker. Is it with lung function? Because there are plenty of people who are on iron lungs. Is it with brain function? Because you're asleep, right, sometimes, and when you're a newborn baby, your brain function is not particularly high. So when exactly do you draw this line? And if you draw the line anywhere other than conception, you have to explain why it doesn't apply to people who you would consider a normal human being who shouldn't be killed.
Finally, claim 3, and this is a common one. It doesn't matter what you believe about abortion, you don't have the right to impose your pro-life views on another woman's body. How do you respond to that?
Now, that's just as foolish as arguing that it's none of my business whether you beat a dog in your backyard. It's not my dog. I don't have anything to do with your backyard. If you decide that the dog is worthy of beating, what's to stop you from doing it? Am I the great moral arbiter? The answer is we make these moral judgments all the time when we see a violation of moral law, and it is a violation of moral law to kill another human being, which is why we have murder laws.
Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, thank you for your time.
This is Jonathan. Jonathan is a man. Jonathan has no say about what happens to tiny humans before they're born because Jonathan does not have a uterus. Just saying. Just like with any human rights violation, if you're not directly involved, then you can't have an opinion. Take slavery, for example. Are you a slave, Jonathan? Are you a slave owner? Do you think slavery is wrong? You can't have an opinion. So, obviously, when it comes to the treatment of tiny humans in the womb, unless you have a uterus, or you're a tiny human living in a uterus, you can't have an opinion. I know. Makes sense, right? This works out well, because tiny humans in the womb can't voice their opinions. They'll figure it out. If you don't have one of these bad boys, or girls, when it comes to killing tiny humans before they're born, and besides, men don't have anything to do with reproduction.
An opportunity to rationalize one's position. I'm pro-life, and all that would encompass here. I guess you probably understand where I line up. If you disagree with me or think there's anything wrong with my position, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
I do think there's a lot wrong with your position. If you're going to try to tell more than half the world's population, more than half of America's population, that they are not allowed to decide to do with their bodies what they want to do, but a dead body, if they're not an organ donor, they're not going to get harvested for organ donation, then I think that's really messed up. And frankly, I think that women should have the option, legally and otherwise, to be able to get an abortion if they want to.
Okay, there are a few presumptions there. No, I would never tell 50% of America, as you put it, about half of America, what they can and can't do with their own bodies.
But that's exactly what the pro-life argument is. You're going to make abortions illegal, which then is going to force the women of America to either find a way to get an illegal abortion, which has its own host of problems, both medical, legal, etc.
As abortion does.
A safe abortion doesn't.
Sure it does.
What things are medically wrong with a medical abortion?
For the baby being killed.
Okay, I'm not talking about the baby.
Why not?
Because the simple fact of the matter is the baby is not an autonomous living being.
Really? How so?
Because it cannot fend for itself.
Okay, so would a 2-month-old baby not be an autonomous human being?
We're not talking about a 2-month-old baby. We're talking about a fetus.
Well, no, I'm using your definition. You said cannot fend for itself. So is fending for itself the standard of what constitutes a human being?
No.
Okay, so what constitutes a human being?
The fact that it is born.
Okay, so what makes the difference between a human being and not a human being is 7 inches about the birth canal?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would be okay with abortion all the way up to 9 months?
In certain circumstances, yeah.
Okay, what do you mean in certain circumstances?
If the birth would be fatal to either the mother or the fetus, then I do think that abortion should be legal.
Well, sure. Let's say if the birth would kill the mother. I don't know any major pro-life advocates who wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, I've met quite a few, actually.
No, I have yet to meet one. So maybe you can give me your Rolodex. But I certainly would say if you're looking at a direct threat to the life of the mother, yes, I understand that.
Okay,
Make
and what?
exceptions for that. But let me say, it sounds to me like that doesn't really matter because you would support abortion regardless.
Yes.
Okay, so why bring it up?
Because people, especially in America, have the freedom to make choices, and right now, the pro-life argument is trying to infringe upon one of the choices. And quick question for all the women: can you all raise your hand real quick? No. Seriously, can I get all the women to raise your hands real quick and keep them raised? I don't care if it's one-on-one. Of all of those women that have their hands raised, which one of you would rather be forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term?
I would. I would live
I appreciate it. No, hold on a second. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. But I also want to continue with this. Thank you very much. I appreciate your passion. That's the danger of using mob rule as your moral compass. Sometimes you don't like how it turns out. And I could have actually told you that there's a significant amount of pro-life women here. A couple of things I want to clarify. I would never tell a woman what she can and can't do with her own body. That's not what I am doing.
Okay.
That's not what she is doing. And I would never force a woman to carry a child.
Okay.
Okay?
But that's exactly what the pro-life stance is.
No, it's not.
So what about the pro-life argument and pro-life laws and regulations and all that is going to allow women the choice? Because that's the whole basis of the pro-choice argument.
Right. Yeah, that's a false premise. What laws would allow the choice to kill another human being?
But it's not a human being.
Well, it is a human being. How do you define a human being? You said fend for itself. That's not a consistent line.
Yeah, and that's 7 inches of birth canal, as you said.
Well, you said you didn't agree earlier.
No.
Fending for itself. So, in other words,
No.
up until 9 months, 7...
It's not a living human being until it crosses that birth canal.
Okay, why?
Why? Because it's still in the womb. It is still a fetus.
So, well, hold on a second. So we're talking about right now a 9-month-old baby. Let's say 8-month-old, right?
But it's not a baby until it's born.
It's not a baby until it's born. So the only difference right now, I'm using a 9-month as let's pick an 8-month-old, okay? 8 months inside the womb, 8 months outside of the womb. One is a life and one is not?
Yeah.
Okay. So what determines human life is location?
If a woman has an 8-month-old fetus versus an 8-month-old child, that is a huge difference.
Because one is inside the womb and one is outside. The only difference is, let's call it geographical location.
But it's not the same as geographical location.
okay, it's a location inside a womb or outside a womb.
But you're oversimplifying it.
I'm trying to understand. Okay, why is one a life and one is not?
Because the fetus itself is wholly and totally dependent upon the mother that it is attached to via umbilical cord.
Sure.
Right?
Wholly dependent, very much
Wholly
just
dependent
just
by-
like an 8-month-old born outside of the womb born.
However, the 8-month-old child, the infant at that point, that's the important distinction, fetus versus infant, is
It's your important distinction. I don't think it's a consistent one, but continue.
is the fact that a fetus, which has not been born yet, and an infant, which has been born, in my opinion, it shouldn't matter whether or not the mother wants to keep it or not. Whether it's...
But I don't understand. I guess I'm not following you. Why does that determine the value of human life? Is it because you don't believe it's a human being because you believe it's a part of the mother?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't believe that is a separate human being. You believe it's effectively a part of the mother.
Yes, because
Okay.
up until the point
Okay.
that it is outside of the mother,
Okay.
whether it's C-section, birth, whatever, then at that point it becomes its own
Okay.
living human being.
Okay. I'm trying
That
to
is
understand.
still dependent upon other people because it is an infant.
Okay, so I
but
wanna
it
make
doesn't
sure that I'm-
necessarily need to be the mother, biological mother, that is still hooked up to the umbilical cord
Okay.
to fend.
So I want to make sure that I'm understanding your reasoning for why it is a baby outside versus inside the womb, even though it's the same age. You are saying that location, and that determines whether it's a human life because, in fact, when it's inside the womb, it is not a separate human being. It is a part of the mother.
Yes.
Okay. I've not misrepresented you there. I understand you correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. So an 8-month-old baby inside of the mother.
An 8-month-old fetus.
8-month-old fetus. It's not a person inside the mother. Okay. How many feet does the mom have?
Sorry?
How many feet does the mother have?
2.
Not 4?
Not 4.
How many fingers does she have?
10.
Not 20?
No. Infants are likened to...
It's a part of the mother.
Yeah.
It's a part of the mother. The mother would have 20 fingers, 20 toes, 4 arms, 4 legs.
Okay.
If
So-
it's a boy, does the mother have a penis?
You're trying to detract from the fact that...
No, I'm trying to understand your position. I'm not trying to detract.
Hear me out. So, effectively, it is a parasitic relationship between a fetus and a woman. That
Define
is carried.
parasite.
Parasite is a being that is wholly and totally dependent upon its host.
That's actually not the definition of a parasite.
Okay, so what's the definition of a parasite, Mr. Webster?
I appreciate the presumption. No, actually, because by your definition, a fully born child would be a parasite because they're entirely dependent on somebody. A good example of that, for example, with sharks, remoras aren't considered parasites, even though they are dependent upon the food that they would get from their larger predator.
But you...
So the reason here is because it actually does so at the cost of its host, at the cost of the health care of the host, at the cost of the actual ability, often killing the host. That's what a parasite is. And parasites don't necessarily even have to be inside the body, by the way. They can be on or in.
I'm aware of that.
No medical literature would refer to a baby growing in a woman's body as a parasite. That's an opinion.
Okay.
So
That's my opinion.
It's your opinion, but it's also your opinion that it is a part of the woman's body, but that doesn't seem to... I understand how you sort of juxtapose that next to, but the woman only has 2 feet.
Yeah.
The woman only has 20. So what are those fingers on that baby? What's the penis? Who does it belong to?
It belongs to the fetus, which, like we just said,
so the
my
fetus
opinion,
does have body autonomy from the mother at this point. It is not a part of the mother.
No, it is a part of the mother because
mother
it is
has a
still
penis.
attached to the mother.
Does the mother have a penis?
No, because the fetus is a parasite.
Because the fetus is a parasite.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to follow your logic trail here because before you said it was in fact a part of the mother.
It is.
That was what.
It
Now
is.
you're saying it's a parasite.
Why can't it be both?
No, I suppose it could be both. Okay. So it's a parasitic part of the mother.
Yes.
So the penis belongs to a parasite, or the arms and the legs and the feet and the functioning brain and the central nervous system and the ability to understand and recognize its mother's voice belongs to a parasite fetus that is in the mother and is not a human life.
Yes.
And that is why we have the right to kill it.
Yes.
Okay? All the way up until birth.
Like I said before, if it is going to be a fatality to either the baby at that point, the infant, or the mother.
Yeah, well, no, again, we don't need to discuss that because you don't care anyway.
That's a very, very strong assumption to make.
Well, you said earlier that you would support abortion regardless, all right?
Yes.
Okay, so then why bring up whether it's a threat of the health to the mother?
Because no medical professional is going to make a late-term abortion unless it's going to be a fatality to either the mother or the fetus.
That's not true. It happens all the time.
Name one case where that's happened.
10 to 12,000 a year, 1.6%, 1.3 to 1.6% of about 1 million abortions each year. And as a matter of fact, you can go right now and watch a video that we taped in an abortion clinic on Tuesday where they performed an abortion on a 32-week-old baby, no questions asked.
Okay, and...
It happens all the time.
Okay.
So, do you disagree with that?
Yeah.
You do disagree with that?
Yeah, because
okay. Well, then we find some common ground there.
Because no. I disagree with your stance on it because you don't know what that woman's life. Like you don't know that woman's life. You don't know that woman. You don't know what the circumstances are. You don't know anything about her. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
You know her personally?
I know exactly what her circumstances are because she told them to us. Yeah, she was a woman who had 2 children already, a 6 and a 9-year-old, and the youngest of which was now being sent off to kindergarten, and she didn't want to go through the mommy phase again.
Okay.
She wanted time for herself.
Okay.
So she went in, and they provided a 32-week-old abortion, no questions asked. That happens, late-term abortions, 10 to 12,000 a year.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure, because you jump around as to what's permissible and what's not. My line of logic here is whether you like it or not, it is consistent, along with the lady there who responded to you. A unique new genetic code is created at conception.
Okay.
Right? Sounds to me like you're saying whether it's in, whether it's out, depending on how the mother feels about the baby, it's circumstantial. It's just not a logically consistent way to justify killing another life.
Okay. Well,
but in that situation, is abortion okay? The situation I just described for you, you can go watch it right now.
Yeah.
Well, then let's not go to the extreme examples to make a point. Because if I were to say, hey, rape, incest, let's allow abortions, and say, but on the other side of the coin, would you be okay with making it illegal to perform other abortions? You wouldn't say so. So why bring it up? You bring up an extreme example that you don't care about. You support abortion all the way up until birth, no matter what. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You may think you've always had yours, but you would be wrong. So how did you get your human rights? From the magical birth canal, of course. Disclaimer. Birth canal is not the size of an actual birth canal. Just saying. Before the baby or fetus is born, it is not a human being. Clearly. But as it passes through the birth canal, something amazing happens that transforms it into a person with human rights. Observe. Not a person, not a person, not a person. Coming out the other end, a person! Human rights! Congratulations. You now have value. Can't say the same for this one. So what exactly happens in the birth canal that causes this magical transformation? No one knows. But popular scientific theories include fairies, aliens, or of course, a mini Big Bang. I think it's fairies. No human rights? Human rights. No human rights? Human rights. Makes sense. Thanks, magical birth canal. Science, logic, magic, human rights.
What if it's a C-section?